They say trains remember, not with thought, but with echoes. Steel rails, once humming with the weight of human dreams, still carry the sound of voices long silenced.
My name is Maya Thompson. I was born in the wrong part of town. At least that's what they always said. On the other side of the tracks, where everything from the air to the education felt heavier.
The town of Halston had two sides, not just geographically, but spiritually. One side had paved streets, white picket fences, and laughter that didn't echo with fear. The other had uncollected trash, red-lined mortgages, and children told to lower their voices.
My brother Deshaun was everything they didn't expect. Brilliant, kind, defiant. He taught me that to walk straight in a bent world was already a kind of protest.
In the summer of '96, Deshaun disappeared. They said he ran away. We knew better. Deshaun's body was found 3 days later, face down near the iron tracks, hands bound, mouth gagged. The official report said, accidental death. But his bruised ribs, broken nose, and the burn marks told a different story, one written in pain.
They told my mother he'd gotten mixed up with the wrong crowd. But I knew the truth. He got too smart, too proud, too visible. And in Halston, black boys were only safe when they were silent, small, or dead.
The funeral was quiet, too quiet. No cops, no press, no justice. Just the sound of a grieving mother clawing at the earth as they lowered her son into it.
That night, I burned every notebook he ever wrote in, not out of rage, but because I couldn't bear to see his dreams, black ink on white pages, survive in a world that killed the hands that held them.
Maya didn't sleep for days. The town had moved on, whitewashed headlines, erased hashtags, and locked lips. But her rage? It pulsed like a second heartbeat.
I started digging. Old case files, missing boys, same patterns, same lies, same damned phrase, no foul play suspected.
She built a wall of evidence in her room. Polaroids, newspaper clippings, autopsy reports leaked from terrified nurses. Each line, each bruise, each silent testimony screamed the same thing.
They started watching me. First the stairs, then the warnings, then the car outside my house that never left. But I was past fear. They took my brother. I was ready to burn this town to the goddamn ground.
Maya sent it all. Every file, every blurry photo, every scanned coroner's note. To 50 journalists. 49 ignored her. One called back.
Her name was Imani, a black reporter out of Chicago. She said, they've tried to bury stories like this for decades, but not this one, not yours, not his.
2 weeks later, the article dropped. The Vanishing Boys of Halston. Names, timelines, medical photos too brutal for print, and suddenly, silence cracked.
They couldn't erase it, couldn't silence it, couldn't unsee it. The whole country watched, and I made sure they watched every goddamn detail.
Halston PD scrambled. The sheriff resigned. An internal review turned into a federal investigation. And for the first time in 20 years, the families got names, and graves got justice. The media swarmed Halston like hornets. Cameras rolled outside City Hall. Protesters filled Main Street with fists and chants. And the mayor? He stumbled through a press conference like a man choking on guilt.
I wasn't looking for applause. I didn't need their claps. their headlines, their fake apologies. I needed the truth out. I needed my brother's name spoken, not buried.
They reopened the cold cases. 15 boys, 15 stolen lives, and in the courtroom, mothers who once sat in silence now stood and screamed.
I looked into their eyes, so many mothers, so many sisters, and I realized I wasn't alone. We were an army, wounded, but awake.
One of the officers was sentenced to life. Another fled the state. 2 more turned on each other. And Halston, a town built on silence, was now echoing with names once forgotten.
We visit Elijah's grave every Sunday now. Mom brings flowers. I bring silence. But it's a silence that honors, not hides. He's not a ghost in our house anymore. He's a name on every wall they tried to whitewash.
Justice didn't come fast. It didn't come clean. But it came because someone refused to shut up. Because a sister chose truth over fear. And because silence can only hold back the storm for so long. But justice, even when delivered, leaves behind scars. Halston wasn't healed. It was cracked open, stores boarded up, cops transferred, whispers behind curtains. This wasn't peace, it was reckoning.
They called me trouble, a girl who ruined the quiet. But what kind of quiet is built on graves? What kind of peace grows from bones? I'd rather be a storm than their silence.
The town split. Families stopped speaking. Teachers were fired. Churches divided. But there was something rising in the cracks. A new generation that refused to forget.
Little kids now wear shirts with Elijah's face. They ask questions adults still fear. And every mural we paint, it's not just art, it's resistance, it's memory.
History doesn't move forward on its own. It's dragged by those who bleed. And Halston bled. But for the first time in decades, it was for something that mattered.
They tried to paint over the murals, white paint, cold and deliberate. But we came back at night, spray cans in hand, hearts pounding. We wrote the truth again, louder this time.
The mayor called it vandalism. We called it survival. He called it provocation. We called it grief with a pulse.
I remember Elijah's mom, the way she held his hoodie in court like it was still warm, how her hands wouldn't stop shaking when the jury walked in, and how her eyes never blinked when they said, guilty.
Justice didn't bring him back. It never could. But it brought something else. An earthquake of voices. No more waiting, no more fear, no more quiet.
We light candles every year. We march. We sing. But most of all, we teach. Because silence is what killed Elijah first, and truth is what keeps him alive.
Halston changed, but not all at once. There were nights when someone smashed Maya's car windows, days when liar was painted across the mural. And yet, no one left. They stood taller. They looked hate in the eyes and didn't blink.
They thought breaking things would break us, but it only made us sharper. We built a library in Elijah's name, filled it with banned books, with stories they wanted erased, with our stories.
Tourists stopped visiting. Money stopped flowing. But truth doesn't need permission. It just needs a place to stand. And now, Halston, is a battlefield turned classroom.
Kids ask me, was it worth it? I tell them, worth doesn't come easy. Justice isn't a gift, it's a fight. And yes, it was worth every scream, every tear, every truth they tried to bury.
Years have passed. The paint on the mural has faded, but the names are still there. Elijah, Malik, Amina. Too many to forget.
I walk my daughter past it every morning. She asks who they were. I tell her they were dreamers, they were fighters, they were silenced, but never erased.
In Halston now, the school curriculum includes Black history, not as an elective, as a foundation. Police officers wear cameras, judges answer to people, and protests end in policies, not prison.
We did not fix everything. We did not heal it all, but we made it impossible to ignore. We turned silence into story and grief into power. That is what justice looks like.